Alright, what we're doing today is we're starting to sample for corn earworms. Normally this is not that important in field corn, but it is really important in sweet corn. The sweet corn producers have a real difficult time producing ears without any corn earworm damage whatsoever. So generally we start sampling when the corn starts to silk, and as you can see here, this silk on this corn has started to turn brown, but if you look carefully, you can see that it is loaded with corn earworm eggs. That's the little white, what I like to describe as bath oil bead type eggs. They're laid on the silks, starting when the plant just starts to put out green silks. And those eggs in summertime temperatures in Kansas hatch 3 to 4 to 5 days after the eggs have been deposited, and then the larvae immediately start crawling down towards the husk and the ear. So as you can see here, Holly is slowly starting to dissect the ear, looking for the very small, recently hatched corn earworm larvae. And as you can see, there's one that probably just hatched today. Hasn't even started feeding yet. The thing about the corn earworm, they are very aggressive and cannibalistic. So that first one that emerges from the egg has the best chance of feeding, but they will all feed and they will all cause a little bit of damage, but eventually you will just end up with 1 or 2 corn earworms, regardless of how many initially started out on the plant. So as Holly starts to pull apart the plant, you can see that there are very tiny corn earworm larvae on here, 1-day-old larvae. There are many beneficials in this field. There are numerous lady beetles and green lacewings. The corn earworm is very adept at hatching from the egg and very quickly crawling down through the silk and entering into the husk, where it finds the ear and starts feeding on the kernels. Once it's in there, it's pretty well safe. There's probably not going to be any beneficials that are going to help protect this ear. It's just when they're in the egg stage, and then when they first hatch out and start crawling along the silks, that sometimes we do get a little help from the beneficial insect population that's in these fields. But the silk stage, when the corn is just starting to silk, that is a huge magnet to the corn earworm adult. The females will come over here and they will oviposit. They prefer corn silks over the other crops that we have in Kansas, but they will then oviposit once the silks have turned brown and gotten too dry, which means the corn inside, the kernels inside, are too far along for the young larvae to feed on. The corn earworm moth then will move to soybeans, where she will start ovipositing in the soybeans. Once the soybeans become too dry, too far along, then she will move to sorghum if there's any sorghum in the area. So the corn earworm is one of our most ubiquitous moths in Kansas, one of our most common pests. It gets in cotton, corn, sorghum, soybeans. Actually, I've found it in alfalfa and other places, but as you can see, they're very readily adapted to the eggs hatching on the silks and then the little larvae crawling inside, where they're well protected so that they can feed and complete their life cycle.